everybody, it's Lori Bradley and I'm here in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And before I even get started on anything craft related, I need to apologize to all of you for last week. My husband and I had the flu and I started feeling terrible on Tuesday. And on Wednesday I spent the morning in bed and I literally forgot, and I have never in my life done that. I forgot that I had a Facebook Live because I felt that bad. And I spent probably 3 days in bed or on the couch, depending on the day. But Tuesday and Wednesday were definitely bad days. And so I greatly apologize. Please forgive me. We're back today, and we are gonna do the Beautiful Butterflies bundle. I'm going to show the designer series paper that matches the suite as well, and then a couple of other things that coordinate just a little bit. It's been 2 weeks since I've designed cards. Like last week I did absolutely zero work, zero, and it was worse than coming back after Christmas vacation and having to get back in the groove of things. So hopefully you enjoy my cards today, and I'm going to flip you around and let's get started. The 3 cards laying here that we're going to make today. Sorry. There we go. Make sure that we're good to go. We're going to do 3 different cards with the bundle. Let me show you the bundle. There is a beautiful stamp set, and I don't even say that because it's the Beautiful Butterflies, but a beautiful stamp set with some really nice words. Some happy words, time to celebrate, happy birthday, and also just some support. I'm here in case you need me. And then the embossing folder, there's a hybrid embossing folder that goes with the bundle, and you can see the embossing here. I've embossed a piece of white, and this particular butterfly, there is dies that match the butterfly. Actually, there's a couple. So you could run it through, emboss, and die cut at the same time. This one could be die cut, but it's not perfect. Let's see. This butterfly right here. We could run that through, emboss it, and cut it at the same time in the embossing folder. Put our paper in to line that up. And you can feel the groove where it fits, and it only fits in one spot. Then you would run it through and you would have an embossed and die cut butterfly at the same time. I love the hybrid embossing folders. I'm not going to use it as a hybrid embossing folder today. I did use it 2 separate ways, but not as a hybrid. So let's do the first one. Actually, I'm going to do one of my cards in 2 parts, and I'll tell you why. I'm going to use watercolor paper, and I'm not going to use any of the other pieces. I had a little bit of a trauma this morning. I went to use my watercolor paper, and where's my card? Yes. I went to use my embossing folder, or my watercolor paper, because I tried thick white and it buckled too much. So I switched over to the watercolor paper, and I was like, oh, perfect. I have one more piece of watercolor paper, and I don't usually use watercolor paper that much, but I thought, okay, I've got one more piece of watercolor paper. No, that is the package of the watercolor paper. So I only had this much left for my second card, and it's not even as big. So we're gonna switch around a little bit. Hey, Monica, thanks for joining me. We're going to switch it around a little bit, the card that I made, and so hopefully you can give me some suggestions. But I want to get this piece started so that it can dry, because we're going to watercolor a little bit today. All right, so I have a small block, and I'm going to use 3 different colors. I'm going to use Daffodil Delight, Flirty Flamingo, and Berry Burst, and I'm going to start with those, and I'm just going to start with the lightest one. And I'm going to take my ink pad, and I'm literally going to just put my block, squish it around in there so that I've got ink on my block. I was going to just stamp direct with my block, but I couldn't get it to look how I wanted it to. I wanted it to be watercolory. So I'm going to take my water painter, and I just have water in here. The one thing I will tell you about the water painters, they come in a pack of 2, I believe. Everything you've ever been taught about righty-tighty, lefty-loosey is wrong with this particular tool. If you turn it to the right, like righty-tighty, it is not righty-tighty, it's righty-loosey and lefty-tighty. And I have no idea who designed that, but it's so confusing. So if you can't get your water painters to work, try that. All right, so I'm gonna, and then you just push, and there's a little, right there, it says push. We're gonna squirt some water down into our brush, and you can kind of see it when it moves that direction. And we're gonna pick up some color from our black. And I didn't put a clean black paper out because I knew we might get a little messy. And I'm gonna just swirl that around, and I'm gonna paint just a blob on my watercolor paper. Like literally back and forth a little bit. If you want some more color. There we go. And if you've got a little too much, you can just take an edge of a paper towel and kind of dab it. All right, then we're gonna take our paper towel, and I'm just gonna brush it on my paper towel until that yellow is gone. I'm gonna wipe off my block so that it's clean. And then we're gonna do the same thing with the Flirty Flamingo and the Berry Burst. Okay, now like I said, I'm gonna do the same thing. So we're gonna ink up our block. I do have a catalog underneath so that, so that it's got a little bit of cushion. So I'm gonna squirt my water, squeeze my brush. And you can tell when you have water, and there it comes. And it looks just like you've painted on your block. And that's just to hold the ink. You could do the same thing in your ink pad lid, where you could do it on the block. And it's gonna be a little bit runny. That's okay. Okay, same thing. Do it off on my paper towel. And there's no right or wrong. It's not, it won't be perfect because it is watercolor. But I just want to get this part done because I need this to dry. It's kind of running there. Hopefully this works out. If it doesn't, we're in big trouble because this is my only piece of watercolor paper. So we will make it happen. All right, last color, Berry Burst. There we go. Some water. And let's paint that last piece. Okay. Now that I think might be a little much, so I'm just gonna dab that just to soak up a little bit. And then I'm gonna sit this piece aside, okay? So that way it's good and dry, and I don't make oopses. Okay, so I'm gonna sit this aside as well because we're gonna need that a little bit more in a bit. You could put that on, you could use your heat tool if you wanted to dry it a little faster. I don't have my heat tool out, and so I'm just gonna sit these aside for a little bit and let it dry. I could also put it up underneath my light, but this is for our next cards. We're just gonna forget about this for just a minute, and we're gonna come back to it in just a moment. Okay, let me wipe this piece off. Okay, so let's go to our next card. So the first one I did in Fresh Freesia, and I embossed the background with just the embossing folder, and then I die cut from the beautiful Bokeh designer series paper that goes with the suite. I die cut one of the Fresh Freesia butterflies. So this background has a little bit of color texture to it. You can see that. And then for my second one, for the one that we're gonna make today right now, I'm gonna use the Berry Burst Bokeh, which I think is beautiful. But there's two other colors in here. Actually, there's a couple of other ones. So let me show you these really quick. There's the Fresh Freesia that has some pink in it. We've got some yellow. I started to do a yellow card. This is normally I can whip out 3 cards for lunch with Lori on the morning of, and I usually do okay with that. And I told my husband yesterday, I'm like, I've got to get started because this is going to be terrible because I'm moving so slow. And so it's a good thing that I started yesterday because we would not have lunch with Lori. We would be having dinner tomorrow, I think. So, all right, so there's the balmy blue, the daffodil. I can show you this card I started with the yellow afterwards, but I realized my problem was my daffodil blends and my pumpkin pie blends were both dry. How does that happen, you ask? I have no idea. Okay, so I've got my pieces die cut. I have my Berry Burst card base. A dimensional back from nowhere. So let's fold our card base. Get that. Okay. Now, I have die cut the detailed butterfly from just Berry Burst cardstock. And then I have the non-detailed one right in the middle. And that one is the Bokeh dots. And like I said, it just gives it a little bit of color difference. It's not a huge difference, but it's enough that it gives it some color. And then here is the butterfly. So when we put our butterfly on, it's going to cover that exactly. So all these little dots will be in the right spots. So I'm going to go ahead, put as much together as I can. You can see that I die cut butterfly bodies from the middle. Okay, and then we can go ahead and put that together. And it would be a pretty card just like that. Put a sentiment on it and you're good to go. But let's add our butterfly. Now the butterfly pieces, you could use adhesive sheet if you wanted on the back. On some of our butterflies, I'm only going to attach the middle. So I didn't want to use adhesive sheet, but I did. The pieces are big enough that we could use liquid glue on the back. However, a couple weeks ago I showed you another technique with the silicone mat. So let's try that. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue here on my mat. And then I'm going to take my sponge and just tap that all over the back so that it has glue on it. I don't think I used enough. And then it wipes right off that silicone mat so you can clean it for the next time. Now the pieces along the upper edge, like right here, these are actually big enough for little dots of glue. So we can do that. And then we should be good. All right, in case you're wondering, Beautiful Butterflies is my February Card Club class. Anyone can join. You can join for one class. You can stick around. But the bundle that I'm using this month is the Beautiful Butterflies. So if you like this bundle, this is the class for you. Okay, so we have our butterfly body, and I will put the link to join in the comment section later. All right, I'm going to go ahead and just use the liquid glue for his little body. There's a couple of things I couldn't figure out about these butterflies, because there's this big antenna guy, but none of the antenna die cuts exactly match that, so I think they're just supposed to be a silhouette. Okay, so there's our butterfly for this one. So this card's just going to be a different color than the other one. And we're going to put dimensionals on the back of that guy. We could have used this side too, but I wanted it to be a little bolder in color. We're going to use the dimensionals. Put those right on there. It is raining here in St. Louis, and I am struggling. I'm still not back to normal, and I'm struggling with the weather. Last Thursday was rainy and gross, and whew, that was very conducive for resting. So today I'm just going to call it a rest day, right? Okay, so now I've got my butterfly. One of the die cuts in the butterfly bundle is this cute little sentiment piece, and I'm just going to put "for you" on there. Right here on this piece. I'm going to put it a little bit to the right, I think. So that way we can put a gem there on the left. There we go. Okay. Now I want to put that over my butterfly just a little bit, or you could tuck it under if you so chose, but I think I want to put it over so that we get the whole sentiment piece. I'm just going to put, make sure I do that on the right side. Right being correct, not meaning right, but got my 2 dimensionals, but then I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive because I want that to stick to my butterfly. Butterflies remind me of spring. Like they're definitely spring things for me. All right, now that's a little bit plain, so I'm going to use the purple adhesive back sequins. These are a celebration item that you can get for free with a $60 purchase. And we're going to use the pink ones, which are berry burst, so they match our design here. Put one on there, and then let's put a couple sprinkled around. And there we go. For you, we could do happy birthday on the inside. I probably could have used there's another die that's about twice that long that has the happy birthday fits. We could have done that as well, but I think for you, and then if you decided it wasn't a birthday card, then you could totally change that over to whatever occasion. If you wanted it to just be I'm thinking of you, I'm so happy for you, so thankful for you. We could do so many things. So there's 2 of the colors with the Bokeh designer series paper, the fresh freesia and the berry burst. All right, let me check my watercolor paper here. All right, I think it's dry enough. So kind of an interesting, we're not going to worry about how that bled up in there. All right, now this is the fun part, and I have to pay very close attention to what I'm doing here. I'm going to stamp on these blobs, so to speak. I'm going to start at the top, and I'm going to do yellow. The Daffodil Delight. I've got my Daffodil Delight ink. And I've got my hello stamp. Make sure that's clean, because the last color I used was pink. Okay, so I'm going to stamp it in Daffodil a couple of times in the Daffodil section. And it's going to be light. All right, now I'm going to ink it one more time in the Daffodil. But I want it to go over into this Flirty Flamingo. Normally I don't use my markers on the photopolymer, but we're going to color it just a little bit. And we're going to go mostly Flirty Flamingo. I'm just going to put some color on it. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be perfect. And we're going to go overlapping onto our yellow and our Flirty Flamingo. So that the top half, I missed it a little bit, but the top half is yellow and the bottom half is Flirty Flamingo. And we're going to work our way down. It worked better the first time that I did this today because my stamp didn't have the pink stain on it. Okay, so let's do a couple more. Let's see. Do one there. Now, I'm going to do the same thing again. I've got my my Flirty Flamingo ink on my hello, and I'm going to take my Berry Burst marker this time, not my daffodil. Oh my goodness. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing. This one I'm going to go down not quite as far. You can see where it's darker, so you can see where it's Flirty Flamingo and where it's Berry Burst. I'm going to try to line that up with my line here. Just like that. So it's Flirty Flamingo into Berry Burst. Hopefully that makes sense to you, what I did there. And then these are just Berry Burst on the bottom. All right, so there's our hellos. It's just a simple hello. Now I do have to put these ink pads away so that we're not too messy. Okay, so the main thing with this one is that you want that watercolor part to dry. Now, let's go ahead. Now this one I need some help. So hopefully if you're watching, you will give me an opinion. Because my paper is smaller, and literally, like I said, that is all I had. So we've got our small Flirty Flamingo base, or mat, to go with that. So I'm asking this, so I want you to think about this. All right, now we could do it so that this is in the middle, and that's the whole section. And so it has a big Daffodil Delight border around the outside. Or we can cut a piece of the Bokeh paper, and I'm not sure if I like the yellow or the Berry Burst, but we could cut it. You know what? I think I'm going to try the yellow. Hi Pam, thanks for joining me. Yes, I am feeling better. I'm still not 100%. Like, this was brutal. Like, I can't even begin to tell you how long it's been since I felt this bad. And then Saturday was Matt's birthday, and we did not even celebrate his birthday. We went to urgent care because I really thought he had pneumonia, which he didn't, thank goodness, but man, he sounded awful, awful. So yes, we are on the mend, and it's just taken a long time. All right, so I have the first choice. Monica, you're always an opinion girl, so if you have one, please let me know. All right, so the first choice is to just leave it plain and have this big yet plain yellow daffodil border. Okay, so there's the first one. Then the second choice would be to add that piece of Bokeh paper just to give it some depth. So there's that choice. There's the Bokeh. Or we can cut a mat of the Berry Burst paper and see if we like that. I think it might be too dark, but let's see what we can do. And I'm just cutting a 4 by 5 1/4 mat. I guess I should move this down so you can actually see how everything's all cockeyed and crooked here. All right, so this will be what it would look like with the Berry Burst. All right, so there's the Berry Burst Bokeh with the panel, or the Daffodil Delight with the Bokeh. All right, I'm gonna let you vote on that, see which one you like better. I think I have an opinion, but I'm gonna let you decide while I put these butterfly bodies together. The dies in this bundle, there's these cute little butterflies that have just little die cuts, and I'm gonna do monochromatic butterflies. I'm just gonna take a tiny bit, of it, the liquid glue on the butterfly body. You could also do this with, you could use adhesive sheet, but I don't want it on the back of the head because that part's gonna stick up. Okay, Pam likes yellow. Anybody else have an opinion on which color bokeh paper I should use? Berry Burst. I love, Monica and Pam are friends. If you don't know them, they're friends, and they never ever choose the same thing. I guess that's why they're friends, because they have so many choices. I have an opinion, and I'm gonna pick one of you. So if there's another person watching who has an opinion, let me know what you think. Maybe you can be the tiebreaker instead of me. All right, so I have my little butterflies. They're put together, and they're gonna just be monochromatic on our card. All right, start thinking, because it's almost time. All right, so now I have Daffodil Delight. Just from making these cards today, I have Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends in my cart. I have Pumpkin Pie Blends, Stampin' Blends in my cart, and I have watercolor paper. So all the things that I needed that I'm out of are on these cards today. All right, so there's the yellow. There's A. And then here is the Berry Burst. Anybody else have an opinion? Before I give mine, you know what? I'm gonna pop this up on dimensionals. You've got 12 more seconds to decide. Right, I'm gonna pop this panel up on dimensionals because otherwise it's a little bit flat. I've cut some of these edges of dimensionals, so I'm gonna just use those. Killing a little time here so I don't have to be the one. All right, I'm not sure if these are actually which cards we're going to do for card class this month, but we will definitely be using this bundle. All right, ladies, I'm going to use the Berry Burst. I think it just gives a little bit of, it just pulls in that third color. But I think the yellow is perfectly fine too, and I'll show you the other card that I started with the yellow that I couldn't finish because my Stampin' Blends were dead. I'm telling you what, if it's not one thing around here, it's 3 others. Okay, so there's our bokeh paper, and then we will put the hello on here. All right, so we've got that. Now, I'm gonna just put on my butterflies in their color section. No right or wrong. They don't have to be angled any particular way. I just used this glue and now it's acting crazy. Now the third card we're gonna make today is even more fun because we are gonna make a butterfly shaped card. Or partial card, partial front. And I'm just gonna put the glue on their body so that way they'll look like they're flying. Okay, so we've got our flying butterflies. Start with the yellow. And I tried to space my words out so you could see the words. All right. You don't like the pumpkin. Well, I don't have any pumpkin out on the table right now. So, unfortunately, I'll show you the pumpkin though. And yes, I know that you like being difficult, Pam. It's the story of your life. I'm going to add a little bit of bling to this. I'm going to use the iridescent faceted gems because I like how they catch the light. So I'm just going to add, I think I'm just going to do 1 in each color section. How about that? We'll do one there. Let's do a big one here, and then another small one. And there we have it. So the first one was just watercolored and stamped on, and then the second one we added that piece behind it, which I think is an okay addition. All right, so the key to that was just let that watercolor dry before you go stamping on it, because we don't want our ink to get all mushed together. You could do it with one color. You could do one color of watercolor instead of the three, but I saw that on someone's Pinterest page, and I was like, oh, I love that. All right, so card number 2. All right, so card number 3 is actually a note card, and we're going to make a note card with a butterfly front. Okay, so I'm actually gonna have to step aside for a moment and use my Big Shot, use my Stampin' Cut emboss machine, get my pieces. I'm gonna show you this die. We could make a full butterfly card, which I tried to do, and I couldn't get it quite right, and I thought, this is not the time for monkey business. So I have my note card, and the Stampin' Up! Note cards, excuse me, I need to take a drink of water. Stampin' Up! Note cards have a score line right across the top, right? So we are going to use the die that that's just going to cut one front. Okay, I did this on a big card, and it doesn't fit quite as well. It fits perfectly on the note cards. Now I'm not sure if you can see right here on the top of the butterfly die, there's these little lines that if you match those up with your score line, mine's gonna go just a little above. Excuse me. Well, thank you, Pam. I love it. I love to hear that I'm awesome, even if it's not quite true. All right, makes me feel good. All right, so I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna run this through my Big Shot. I'm gonna lay this on here just like this, and I'm gonna run it through, okay? If you want, you can put a piece of washi tape just to hold it on, but give me 1 second. I'm gonna let you look at this pretty butterfly while I die cut. And I'm gonna run this through just to cut that front piece. I can find all my Big Shot plates. They're hiding. I didn't want to cut this piece ahead of time because I wanted you to see how it works. So I laid it on there, and I'm going to take my plates apart, and this is what it's going to look like. Now, you're going to have to do a little bit of paper snipping. Okay, so here's our card fronts. I'm going to set that aside. And we're going to take our paper snips. I'm going to snip right to the edge. Okay. And then we have our butterfly, and the top will open like that. Okay, so there's just enough that it holds the card, and that makes your fold. Okay, now I'm gonna cut one more little thing because it was my little weirdness. So you can see this big butterfly body. I don't want that to show behind my other little guy here. Okay, so I'm going to just take my snips again, and I'm gonna kind of cut that toward the middle, just like that. Like that, because we don't want that part to show. And then I'm gonna do the same thing with his head. I'm going to feel only bad for a minute that I'm cutting off his head because he's going to get a new head. Okay, so now we just have butterfly wings, which will make me a little bit happier. And you can cut that so it's even. All right, now we're cooking. Okay, this one I did with Melon Mambo and Summer Splash. I'm going to do this one the exact opposite. I'm going to do Summer Splash as my background. We could do it like, actually, let me put this piece on first and you can see what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and assemble my butterfly. I've cut one of the bodies and I've cut the wings. And then I used the Celebration Irresistible, what's it called? Irresistible Blooms. Oh, Bloom Impressions, close. Bloom Impressions Designer Series paper. So this flower right here is actually what I cut this butterfly from. And so it just gives our butterfly some color. And again, I'm going to use my, excuse me, I'm so sorry. Get some glue. And we'll do the same thing, silicone mat. The back of that paper would have been pretty also, but it's just a little more plain. This doesn't give a whole lot of adhesive, but it's just enough to make it tacky. Tacky in a good way, not tacky in a bad way. Stick that butterfly on the butterfly body. Just like that. So see, it's just enough to hold it down. If there's a piece that doesn't stick, you could always tap a little bit of glue in there. And then we'll do his body. I just think this butterfly is so fun. So many choices. Now I will tell you that for Card Club, we are going to make a full butterfly shaped card. And I will show you how to do that. So stay tuned, right. Stay tuned for that. I'll put the link for sign up in the comments. Okay. All right. So then we're gonna glue that onto here. And it'll go a little above and below, but that's okay, I think. I think that one's okay. Now, I wanna make sure I just put this on the wings because, or the adhesive on the wings. Because if I don't, then that section won't be attached to anything and it won't be in the right spot. And then you'll have glue in places where you don't want glue. So we're just gonna put it on the wings with the body. Speak for itself. All right, that I thought, when I did this one, I thought was a little bit plain. Like you could, like the white butterfly doesn't stand out on the white. So I went ahead and I did a panel, and that's why I chose that panel. And it's just a matte, this one's Summer Splash, the other one is Melon Mambo, just to give it some color. Like that. And then you could also, which I didn't do on the other one, but I have, I think, a butterfly cut. Find the butterflies I have cut. This was one I messed up. This was actually a note card that I cut. But you could cut another one and put on the inside right here. So that would cover. It's not going to line up perfectly because I didn't cut them together, but where you know where you can write, that will be hidden. It's entirely up to you. I think there's enough space that you could write whatever you wanted to, or flip it over on the back and write on the back. That would also be okay. But the card will stand, sort of stand up like that. Yeah, I think this one needs a little bit of bling also. So let's go back to those iridescent faceted gems that I left somewhere. There they are. And let's add some bling on our butterfly. I think he needs some right here. Should I do big ones? Let's do a big one in the middle. Do one on each side. I'm gonna hold it up so I can actually. Butterflies are always your images, right? On each side, I think. And I'm gonna do a little one on top and a little one on bottom. I love these gems. They take on whatever color you put them with. Okay. Again, I need to. And there you have it. We've got our blinged up butterfly with our note card on the inside. We have our watercolored butterfly with the hello. And then we have our Bokeh paper butterfly with the two things. So, like I said, this is my card club projects. Or, well, they're not the card club projects because I haven't decided those. But we will be using the Beautiful Butterflies bundle for Card Club this month. The deadline to sign up is the 10th. So if you're interested in butterfly cards, let me know and we will get you signed up for that. And I will look forward to seeing you all next week. Happy celebration. If you have any questions, let me know. And thanks again for joining me today. And I apologize again for last week's flu fiasco. Have a great day. I'll see you next week.